Welcome to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, and well-published, peer-reviewed authors. Today's question, do we all live in the same reality? The simple answer, the quick answer, is yes, we do. I've mentioned in the past, if you deal, even for a short time, with someone who's psychotic, which means they do not see reality clearly, they're seeing their own reality clearly. They don't have any doubt about the little girl next door who's really leading the alien invasion force. They have no doubt about that. They see it very clearly. The only problem is the rest of the world doesn't see that little girl as an alien leader. We agree she is not the alien leader. She's not leading an invasion of the earth, the takeover of the world. We all agree she is not. Everyone involved agrees she is not. It's not like 40% of the people think she is and 60% think she isn't. No one believes that she is an alien leader except the psychotic, which means, in layman's terms, the most serious of all psychological illnesses, psychosis. Depression is not a psychosis. Anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, these are not. Being on a spectrum, these are not psychoses. The psychosis is the most serious of all mental health disorders. That's when lay people use terms like certifiably crazy. That guy is nuts out of his head. Terms like that. We recognize it because we recognize they're seeing a reality different than everybody else sees. We also recognize we see a reality that everybody else sees. We personally do. And when someone doesn't, when someone stands out from the herd, it's very, very noticeable. And as I was saying, and let me finish this at this point, as I said before, if you deal with someone who is psychotic, you will know it right away. Within 5 minutes of the conversation, you will know. It's not a hidden deep mystery. You'll know there's something seriously wrong here with the person you're speaking with. You'll get a sense of danger. And of course, psychotic people can be very dangerous to themselves and to other people. Yes, that psychotic guy might take a gun and defend the earth against that little girl alien invader next door. It's happened. It's not nonsense. Logic defines this reality. It gets very complicated. For instance, when we go into probability theories, which is from statistics, it's quite valid, but it's not necessarily interesting. But science runs on the notion that logic works, that logic will define the world, and science uses logic and logical means to test the world and to decide what's real and what's not real. So far, we have talked about reality, those who see it more clearly, and those who see it very badly. Of course, the better you see reality, the better you'll be able to succeed in life, and the worse you see reality, the more you will fail in life. It's very clear. Logic will determine, reveal to us reality. And if it's illogical, chances are immense that it's not real. There could be something we don't understand, some twist in reality that allows for that, but that is exceedingly rare. Exceedingly rare. If logic says you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it. If logic says you should do it, you should do it. Logic is really based on the idea that A causes B. It's a cause and effect thing, and it can get very complicated in experiments like the independent variable and the dependent variable. And the independent causes the dependent, and that's all stuff you don't need to understand or care about. It's just enough to know that you will thrive when you create or do the right things in life. the correct things, and you will suffer when you don't. That A causes B, and it's important to understand all about A and all about B. For instance, your brother-in-law comes to you with the idea that you should mortgage your house, take the money, the $100,000 you'll get by mortgaging your house, invest it in a particular stock. Now, one of two things are going to happen. He's going to be right, and you're going to become infinitely wealthy, or he's going to be wrong, and you're going to lose all your money. And of course, there are outcomes in between where you lose most of your money, half your money, 1/4 of your money, or where you make money. You make 1/4 more than you had, than you invested. It's very unlikely you're going to get rich. It just doesn't work that way. It's very improbable. It's illogical. So, it's a simple thing. You have to determine if he's right or he's wrong. You can't say that in our reality, mine and my brother-in-law's, we're going to get rich and so we will. It doesn't work that way. If you're wrong, you're going to suffer. You may lose your home. So it's very important to be right, to be correct. Correct, what's that mean, be correct? It means to be consistent with reality, and you will use logic, which is nothing, it's not a big deal. Logic, it's just that A causes B. So if you know that you could lose your home because you invested in this stock, that's A causes B, then we need to do a hell of a lot of research into the stock, into your brother-in-law. If he tells you this, he swears it's true. Let's think about it. How right has he been before in life? Is he homeless, sleeping in his car? Well, we could sort of negate his ability to succeed, can't we? He's had great difficulty. But maybe it was just bad luck. Let's look at the rest of his life. Has he been like this his whole life? Has he been wrong over and over again? Wrong simply means his ideas did not conform with reality. He was wrong because it wasn't real. He was wrong what he thought about the stock because it didn't work. It didn't go up. And it never went up the last 10 stocks he recommended. Those companies all went bankrupt. Everything you do in life has to be consistent with reality. The good thing about humanistic psychology, about individuation and self-actualization, is that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to get better. And they say you will, should you grow in those areas, individuation, self-actualization, then you will understand reality better. You will be able to see it better, which means you can use logic better, and you will prosper when you know who to marry because you've used logic to determine that. You will prosper. Imagine all the pain and the suffering from marrying the wrong person. And imagine all the happiness and meaningfulness that comes from marrying the right person. And that's all determined by logic. Logic is not something like mathematics, though at the university level it is studied like mathematics. You have mathematicians and you have logicians, people who study logic, who practice logic at the university level. We don't need to think about that. We just need to know that if you bet on the wrong horse at the racetrack, you're going to lose. And if you bet on too many wrong horses at the racetrack, you're going to lose your house. And if you continue to do that, you're going to lose your wife and your children and your car, and you will become homeless. Logic tells us that. We don't need mathematical formulas. We don't need to study this. We need to be correct, and we need to know how to think so that we can become correct or will be correct, and that's with the use of logic. Everything is measured in terms of the reality that we share. When we say someone's hallucinating, we're saying that in reality, in the real world, you can't hear angels talking to pigeons in trees. And if somebody thinks they can, they're wrong, because nobody else hears that. Science doesn't see that. just you see that, or just the other guy sees that. So someone who's delusional and believes that the little girl next door is leading the alien invasion force and thus must be dealt with to save humanity and the planet Earth, only that person sees that. It can't be substantiated logically. Nobody else in the world sees it, or at least nobody else in the family sees it, or nobody else in the neighborhood sees it, and that's enough. It really is enough. And very quickly, you will know that that person is not sane, is not normal. Why? Why are you saying this person is suffering from the worst mental illnesses possible? Simply because he's lost touch with reality. And how do we know that? We know that through simple logic. We go through logical steps. It's like a recipe. 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water, some yeast, stir. You do it without thinking. You use logic every day. You are a logician. And when you do things that aren't logical, we got to worry about that. Now, logic includes, by the way, internal drives and needs. If you really want to go and explore this valley in the desert, it is not illogical for you to go there. Logic says I really want to do that. Logic says I have the time to do that. Logic says I have the money to do that. I can do that. Do the research. See if I have to bring extra water. I have to let people know. I have to get a satellite radio. Logic says that. So you're exploring that canyon is logical. And if you don't come back on time and they call the police will ask all those questions. Did he bring extra water? Did he research this? Was this an absence from work that was acceptable to work? Did they know? Was this planned? It's all logic. It's illogical, though, if your family calls and says, hey, Joe isn't in his room, and there's a note, he's going to this canyon, this valley in the desert, and that's it. Did he tell work? No. Did he do any research? No. Did he tell anyone he was going? No. That's all illogical. It's not the trip to the desert that's illogical. It's the lack of planning that goes into that. And we would suspect if he suddenly left, if he woke up from a dream and scribbled down, going to canyon, and disappeared, and he brought no water that we're aware of. He did no research that we are aware of. He's brought no warm clothing or sleeping bags. It gets cold in the desert. He's told no one where he's going. He has no means of communication. He left his cell phone at home and his satellite phone. He never got one. Now we think there's something wrong mentally with that guy because what he's doing is illogical. Everything will be judged that way, and you will judge everything that way. If it's your brother who's disappeared, you're going to ask all those questions to determine, did he go there voluntarily, or was he driven there by delusions? Is he mentally ill? You'll ask those questions. You'll make that determination. You'll say, was he okay, or was he psychotic? You'll make that determination, and that's all based on logic. A simple look at reality, a reality that is non-varying. Don't forget, you never say, well, my brother, he went out there without the phone and without a sleeping bag and without water. But in his reality, because we all have our own realities, in his reality, there are going to be lots of stands over there where he can buy water. People in the desert selling water, natural springs, water fountains, free coats hanging on rock shelves. No, you know, none of that's true. You don't allow for him to have a different reality where it's okay for him to go out there without making logical preparations to survive. So no, we are not allowed to think anything we want, believe anything we want, because there is a hard reality out there. When people play Russian roulette, there's no technique to survive. It's pure chance. You put one bullet in a gun, you spin the chamber, and you pull the trigger. There's either a bullet there or there isn't. It's not in your reality. There's never a bullet there. If that was the case, no one wants to die in Russian roulette. That's not the goal. The goal is to survive. Yet people do die. And they die because they're wrong. They think there's no bullet in the chamber this time, and thus it's safe to pull the trigger. There is a bullet in the chamber. They're wrong. They're wrong. You know, you're warned all the time about firearms. Be careful. Never point a loaded weapon. They didn't say don't pull the trigger. Of course you shouldn't pull the trigger with a loaded weapon. They're saying don't point it. Why? Because there's a bullet in there. And if there's an accident, you accidentally pull the trigger, you drop the gun and it goes off, somebody could die. Very likely somebody would die. So they tell you, don't pull the trigger. They don't say, hey, just believe strongly that the gun's empty. And if it's loaded, that's okay. Because in our reality, the gun won't go off. You can pull the trigger. You could point that gun at your sister and pull the trigger, or your husband or your wife, and it won't go off. Because in our reality, the gun isn't loaded. So go ahead in our reality. But you see, it doesn't matter what your reality is. Your reality is an illusion. That gun's either empty or loaded. No in between. You point a loaded gun at someone and pull the trigger, get ready to go to prison. Maybe for the entire rest of your life, but at least for the next 25 or 30 years. So it's good to see we have the same reality. Look at all the people that died from various diseases. It wasn't their fault. They didn't purposely inject themselves with these viruses. They caught it. They breathed it in. And they died. Some of them. That's reality. That's how it works. Doesn't matter what you think. During the pandemic we had there were many people who refused to wear a mask. They didn't think they needed it. Do some research. How many of those people died? A great number. Many people denied the pandemic. They died anyway. Not everyone, but some people did. And that's all you need. Just one denier say it's not real, you can't die of this, and then they die, and we know you can die from it. There is only one reality, and the sooner you come to that conclusion, the better off you're going to be. It's your job in life to understand reality as clearly as possible. That's your job. The better you understand it, the more you'll prosper. And the less you understand it, reality, the more you will suffer. You take the wrong job, you marry the wrong person. You keep taking the wrong jobs. You keep marrying the wrong people. You invest in the stock market, and you use a system, and that system has caused you to lose all the money you've invested. You need a new system. You can't force reality to conform to you. Reality will force you to conform to it. If you think it's okay to stand on the side of that mountain 100 feet above the rocks below, and you can stand on the side and you can walk out and you can lean over because you can make reality conform to you. It's safe to stand here. And then you lose your balance for a second, you fall off, and you start to crash to the earth. When you hit those rocks below, your body will conform to those rocks. Your head will be at a funny angle, your left arm will have come off, your back will have been broken in 18 places, but you'll fit nicely into those rocks below. you will conform to reality. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You swear that you're a great driver. You can drive really well. You believe in it. It's your reality. I'm a great driver. My brother's not so good. My friends are no good, but I'm good. I could be a race car driver. And you're driving down the road. I'm safe. I'm so good. And then you swerve off the road and hit the concrete bridge abutment. Now, reality did not conform to your perverse, twisted, inaccurate thinking. But you conformed to the concrete on that bridge abutment. Your body's all smashed, stuck on there like a bug on a windshield. That's reality. You need to figure out how not to end up that way, because reality is it. There's one reality, and it's the same for all of us. When you can figure it out, when you can see it better, or maybe identify why you don't see it well, because you were abused as a child, because you have an inferiority complex, because whatever the reason, remove those reasons and you may see reality better. You may need a therapist to help you do that. Everything you do must be logical. Every step you take must be well planned, using logic. Now, you may not know how to spell logic. That's okay. You may know nothing. You could spell it, but you don't know anything about it. That's okay. You don't know any of the ideas of inductive and deductive reasoning. You don't even know those terms. It's okay. You can still be logical to recognize that your actions will have an outcome. If you point the gun and pull the trigger, even if it's a joke and gun's loaded, there will be an outcome. That action will cause you to go to prison. That's logic. A causes B. You bet on the wrong stocks, you invest incorrectly, A causes B, the loss of all your money. You trust your brother-in-law, and you shouldn't, because it was obvious he doesn't know what he's talking about. You lose your house. A causes B. Logic. You need to conform to reality, because reality will not conform to you. But you will conform to reality. They will come and take your house from you. No matter how much that positive thinking is, when you don't pay the mortgage, they're going to come and take the house. They'll send cops, people from the court. Pretty soon everything you own will be on the lawn in front of your house. They'll put padlocks on the doors. You can't get back in. It's not going to conform to you. On the other hand, if you try to understand reality so that you know what's important in life, because you've looked, you've researched it. You know who to marry because you've looked, you've researched it, you've analyzed it. You don't believe that in special abilities that you may possess. You don't believe in that. You believe that, hey, you got to marry someone you're compatible with. I've researched it. You're compatible with somebody you like, somebody you can trust. You've done that research. You've married the right person. And now, by doing that, by following reality, you will be guaranteed an improvement in your life. If not, a marriage that will last you until both of you die. Love that will not end. You need to figure it out. We all live in the same reality, and we need to see it. We need to see that reality to understand it. This is Analytical Media. We hope you've benefited from this. We hope we've given you something to think about, talk about, discuss. We hope you will help us to spread the message to other people. If you benefited, maybe somebody else will. We need to send this message out, and the only way YouTube will do that is if you like the video, comment on the video, share the video, and then they'll send it out to more people. We hope you will help us to help other people in that fashion. Having said that, we also hope that everything's gone well for you. We hope your family, friends are good. We hope life has been good to you. And we'll see you if you return in our next video. Good luck.